In this final section, I'm going to introduce you to some strategies that people use involving options. And this will give you a flavor of some of the interesting things that you can do with options. Okay, so it turns out that options are often used in combination with positions in the stock or with other options to provide an overall strategy. And this is sort of the neat thing about options, is that when you combine them with other things, you can create a lot of different interesting profit and loss and payoff diagrams. So we're going to go through a couple of standard option strategies here. Now, there are many, many more than this, but this will give you a flavor of the kinds of interesting things you can do with options. The four that I'm going to cover here are the protective put, the covered call, the straddle, and a spread. Okay. Now, here I don't expect you to be able to pick up all the details, but here's what I do want you to know coming out of this section. I want you to be able to recognize the names of these and what they involve, and to have some sense of when you would use them. Okay. So let's dive right into each of these, and I'm going to spend, a slide or two on each one of these. All right, let's start with the protective put. Okay, so again, these are option strategies. The first one here is called the protective put. And what is the protective put? This is a fairly straightforward strategy, or a way that people would use a put option. And it involves the following. You are long the underlying stock. So what does that mean? I have bought, in this case, let's make it simple. I bought one share of stock. Okay, and then at the same time, what do? I long, remember long meaning buy. I buy a put at some strike price X. And so the question here is that what does this overall position, when you combine these two together, what does that look like, and why is somebody doing that? The name helps you indicate, the name helps you understand what the purpose of this is. Protective put, you are protecting yourself. Now, there are ways to understand diagrams like this using a table. I'm not going to focus so much on the table. I'm going to go to more the payoff and the profit loss diagrams to help you understand it. Let's take a look at that. So what is this protective put combining together? So number one, you are long the stock. And remember in the previous section, I showed you the payoff of just a share of stock. And we said that was just a straight line going up at a slope of 1. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now, at the same time here, you have also purchased a put option. What was the payoff of a put option? Remember that? I always think of it in terms of a ramp and a car driving on a ramp like this. And the put option hits the ramp and boom, it starts going up once it hits that strike price of X. Okay, so here you're combining these two together. When you combine these two together, over here, let's imagine going right to left. I'm going down like this. Over here, I'm going up. And those actually cancel each other out. And if you combine these two positions together, what do you get? You get over here the overall payoff function of this protective put. Now, I don't expect you to be able to combine those together in your mind, okay? But I'm just showing you what it looks like. And what do you see here? It looks like you're going down here, and then what happens when you hit the strike price? It just flatlines, okay? So this is the payoff, and then we remember what is the difference between the payoff and the profit loss diagram? Well, we have to subtract off the price, right? So if I subtract off my overall price that I'm paying on this, that's going to move the whole diagram down, and here will be my overall profit or loss from the protective put, okay? When I see this overall diagram, how do I interpret it? So I look here, here is the underlying stock price. Remember, I've purchased one share of that, and I have bought a put option on that. So my profit or loss is going to depend on whether that stock goes up or down. So I see here that if the stock goes up, that's good, I'm making money. I have a positive profit. If the stock goes down, I'm losing money. However, if the stock really goes down, in fact, if it goes down beyond the strike price, what happens? I don't lose any more. My losses are limited. In fact, they're limited to this value. So you can see here, what is the point of the protective put? Let's focus on that name, protective. What is it protecting you against? If the stock drops a whole bunch, then it protects you against big losses. Your losses flatline below that strike price. So I'm going to put just a summary box here, and this is the key takeaway, and this is what I want you to know. Okay, so a protective put is used to protect a long position in a stock. Again, we were long the stock against a big drop in the price. That is, it protects you against large losses. Okay, so this is a very nice strategy. Let's see a little bit more what this is doing. So in this diagram here, what do I have? I have the profit or loss if you are just holding the stock. So if I buy a share of stock, this would be my break even, right? And if the stock ends up going down at that expiration when I want to sell it, again, a share of stock does not have an expiration, but let's match up a time that would correspond to the expiration of, say, a put. And what would happen if the stock goes down at that time and you sold it? Well, if it goes way, way down and you had to sell it, then you're going to lose a lot of money. On the other hand, if you buy that protective put, you buy that put on it, then what happens there? We said, well, if it goes down, then this will actually limit your losses. Okay, so that is what the protective put is doing. Now, you also note here that what is the difference? This protective put is not free. You have to pay for it. Okay, and so that's why this diagram has dropped here. So this is like insurance. It's like insurance against a big drop in the price. Insurance is not free. If you want to protect your car, what do you have to do? You have to pay your insurance premiums. Okay, so it's the same case here. If I want to protect against these big losses in the stock and I want to protect, then I have to buy that put. I have to pay for the put. It will protect me, but there is a price to that. Okay, so this is my profit or loss on that protective put, and it flatlines, and if there's a big loss, it did protect me. All right, let's move on to the next strategy that I want you to know. This one is an interesting one. This one is called a covered call. Okay, and so this one, we also have a position in the underlying stock. So I'm long one share in the underlying stock S. And in this case here, what do? I combine that with selling a call option at strike price X. And usually in this case, I'll show you on the diagram, usually that strike price is above the current price of the stock. Let me show you what the diagrams look like. Again, we're combining things together here. It's sort of like positions in the stock and positions in options are building blocks, and then we can sort of stack them on top of each other and build more interesting things. Let's see what the covered call builds for us here. So I'm long that stock. This is my payoff function for the stock. Now what have I done? I have sold a call option. Remember, that was called writing a call option, or you can write a put option. In this case, we're writing a call option. And from the last video, I showed you that what that looks like is instead of going up a ramp, when you write a call option, you end up going what? Down a ramp. So down a ramp. So I'm combining these two together, combining going up, and then this one is just flat, there's nothing, and then it goes down. And I see from this point, from the strike price on, this going up and the going down cancel each other. And if I combine these together, it looks like this. Okay, so initially I'm going up just like the stock, but when I hit the strike price, then what happens? I just flatline. Okay, so this one, again, looks very interesting. When I look at this, and now I need to subtract off the price. When I subtract off the price, I get to my profit or loss. And this is what my profit or loss looks like. So it looks like the following. If the stock goes up, okay, I'm making money. In fact, initially I'm making money. When it hits the strike price of this call that I sold, then my profit is limited. My profit just stops and it never goes higher. So essentially what I've done here is I've limited my profits. Okay, like why would you limit your profits? What did I get in return for limiting my profits? Well, I sold the call, so I got the call premium. I got the call price because I'm the one who sold that. So I said, okay, I'm willing to limit my profits so that if the stock goes above the strike price, I get no more profit in return for the price of the call. Okay, kind of an interesting idea. Okay, so the key takeaway here A covered call allows you to do what? To earn an extra profit. That's the call premium. That's the call that you sold. You sold that call. What are you giving away for that extra profit? In return for giving away a large upside. If it moves up a whole bunch, sorry, you're not going to make any more. You limited your profit. Okay, and you can think of this, it's almost like an extra dividend. What is the dividend? That would be the call premium. You're selling a call, you receive the premium for that. You're selling a call, you receive the premium for that. You can do that, like roll it over every month, sell a call option every month, you get that premium. In return for that premium, if the stock shoots way up, your profit will be limited. You'll still make money, you're still profitable, but your profit will be limited. So interesting idea, interesting trade-off there, this so-called covered call. All right. So this is one, when would you apply this? Well, if I have a stock and maybe I hold the stock and I don't think the stock is going to shoot way up, but I do want to hold the stock long term. I like the stock and say, you know what, I'd like to make a little bit of extra money. I'm going to sell a call option on that stock. I'm going to set the strike at what? At a price where I don't think the stock is going to go above that price. So that's why normally the strike price is higher than the current price of the stock. Maybe it's 10% higher or something like that. I don't think the stock is going to shoot up over 10%. So I'm willing to give away any profits above 10% in return for what? The price of the call that I sell. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Here's our third. This is called a straddle. What is a straddle? You are long a call, that is, you bought a call with strike X. And at the same time, you are also long a put, that is, you've bought a put at the same strike X. Let's see what this looks like in our diagrams. So what am I combining? So first, I'm long a call. That is my ramp going up when it hits the strike price X. I'm also long a put, that is, I bought a put. What is that? That is the ramp going up the other direction. And now I'm combining these two together. Okay, so see if you can combine these together in your mind. I won't ask you to do this on an exam. It takes a little bit of practice. But if I combine these two together, what do I have? So I've got basically nothing here, and then it shoots up on this side. I've got nothing here, and it shoots up here. Combine those together, and I'm over here at the payoff. And what does it look like? It looks like a V. Wow, that's an interesting payoff diagram. It's basically a V. And then to look at my profit or loss, what do I have to do? I have to subtract off the price that I paid for this. What was the price? Well, I paid for the call and the put. So it's the sum of the call and the put. That's this here, the sum of the call and the put price. So I drop that, and now here's my profit or loss. It looks like this V. Why would somebody want to do this? Let's see. When do I make money? So I make money, let's assume the stock starts around wherever the strike price is that you chose. Then what do I want to happen? I want this stock price to move. If it moves way up, right, by expiration, then I make money. I could also have it, if it moves way down, I will also make money. So I don't care which way it moves, I just want it to move, okay? I just want the stock to move a lot. So people will say that a straddle is a bet on volatility. You just want the stock to be very volatile. I just want it to move. I don't care whether it's up or down. If it moves a lot, I'm going to make money. When do I lose money? If the stock just sits here in this zone, then boom, and it doesn't move very much, then what happens? It falls into that hole at the bottom, and I would lose money. Okay? So interesting idea. With a straddle, I can make money as long as the stock moves a lot. So what's the summary on this? A straddle will be profitable if the stock moves a lot, either up or down. Okay? So this is often described as being long volatility. This is an interesting way to describe it. Long volatility. Normally, if you're long a stock, you make money what? If the stock goes up. So people will say this is long volatility. Why? You make money if the stock volatility, that is its movement, goes up. And you don't care whether it moves up or down, just as long as it moves a lot. Okay? So that's a straddle. Some of the time people will play a straddle like around earnings because they think, the earnings are going to come out. And I don't know whether the earnings are going to be good or bad, but it'll probably make the stock move a lot. So I'm going to buy a straddle. And regardless of whether it moves up or down, if it moves enough, I'm going to make money. All right, Let's go to the final strategy that I'm going to introduce you to here. This one is called a bull spread, and it's going to be a call bull spread. And we'll see that why the name bull, because basically you're a bull on the stock or you're bullish. You want the stock to go up. And this has two positions here. Number one, you are long a call at strike X1, so you've bought a call option. And then number two, you've actually taken a second call option, but you've sold this one, you are the writer of this, at a higher strike X2. Okay, let's go look at the diagrams and see what this is combining together. Okay, so here's your first position. This is call 1, and you have bought this call, and so there's at strike price X1, and again, it looks like a ramp. The payoff diagram looks like a ramp. You're driving along and boom, you hit the strike and you start going up. Then you've taken the second call at a higher strike X2, and that one you've sold. Remember, if you sell or write a call, it looks like you're driving along and then you go down a ramp. And I'm combining these two together, and basically what happens here is I begin to go up the first ramp until I hit this second strike, and then my up gets canceled out by the down here, and I'm going to flat line. So if you combine these together, it looks like this. I'm going along. Okay, I hit the first strike, then I get to go up. I drive up until I hit the second strike, and then I'm flat again. Once again, to go from the payoff to the profit or loss, I need to subtract off the price that I paid for this, so that's going to drop it. So now my profit or loss looks like this dotted line right here. And I can look at this and I can see, when do I make money? When do I lose money? How much can I make? How much can I lose? Okay. So what are the characteristics of this? Well, my losses are limited, right? It's just flat there. Even if the stock drops a whole bunch, my loss is limited. Okay. If the stock goes up, I will make money, right? It's going up, and if it clears this value here, I'm in profit territory. But if it goes up beyond the second strike, then it flatlines again. My profits are limited. So my losses are limited, my profits are limited, okay? But in general, I do want the stock to go up because I make money if it goes up. So the fact that I make money if it goes up, that's why it's called a bull spread, okay? So this is a bullish spread because you're a bull on the stock. Remember, the term bull or bullish means that you want the stock to go up. Okay, so I want the stock to go up. This one looks like what? So a bull spread makes money if the stock goes up, but losses are limited and your profits are capped. A great way to think about this one is it's a combination of the protective put. What did the protective put do? It cut off your losses like that. What did the covered call do? The covered call limited your profits in return for what? A call premium. And this looks like it combines both of those properties, limited losses and a capped profit. Okay, so this is called a bull spread. And again, it's one of the interesting things that you can do with options. This is probably giving you a sense that with options, wow, with calls, puts, and the underlying stock, you can combine them in so many ways that you can begin to make really interesting diagrams. And with just the stock, what essentially all you can do is either bet that it can go up or down, and that's it. But now when you add options into the picture, I can make lots of really interesting bets. Okay, like this one here, the call spread, or like the straddle, I can actually just bet on volatility. I don't even care which way the stock moves. As long as it moves a lot, I'm going to make money. So that's why I think options are very, very interesting, because it allows you to basically take bets on a lot of different things, not just the stock going up or down. Okay, let's do one problem here, and this is the level that I want you to know these different strategies. We just went over 4 strategies. I want you to know their names, right? Be able to recognize them, and sort of in what situation you might use them, and that's about it. All right, so which option strategy might you employ in the following situations? So A, you're concerned about a possible sudden crash in a stock that you own. So you already have a position in the stock. Which strategy would be most appropriate? Here's the answer. That's the protective put. You would buy a put so that you are both long the stock and you have a put, and we saw what does that do? That's like buying insurance. It will cost you the price of the put, but it will cut off any big losses. Let's go to the next one. You believe that an upcoming earnings announcement will cause a stock to move a lot, but you don't know which direction. And you want to try to make money off of this. Which strategy was that? Here's the answer. That was the straddle. The straddle was the one that regardless of whether the stock moves up or down, if it moves enough, then you make money. So you're just hoping for a lot of volatility. Let's do one more here. You would like to increase your rate of return on a stock in a consistent manner. You don't believe that the stock will increase rapidly in the short term. What would be most appropriate here? This would be the covered call. Okay, the covered call. You hold the stock and you want to just get a little extra boost out of it. You don't think it's going to shoot up super high. So what do? You actually sell call options. Those call options are out of the money, meaning the strike is above the current price of the stock. You sell those call options and you hope that they're never exercised, so you just collect the premium on those. So that would be the covered call. Okay, that's it, and I hope that this has given you a flavor of options. They're a really, really interesting subject, and if you want to learn more about them, I recommend you take a further course in options.